Hi, I am Carol from Thatirishschoolhouse. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into the topic of homeschooling, and the first question is homeschooling legal in Ireland? And yes, it is. So our constitution recognises the right of a parent to educate their child. So I will just read it out quickly. Article 42 of our Irish Constitution says, "The state acknowledges that the primary and natural educator of the child is the family, and guarantees to respect the inalienable right and duty of parents to provide, according to their means, for the religious and moral, intellectual, physical, and social education of their children. Parents shall be free to provide this education in their homes or in private schools or in schools recognised or established by the state. The state shall not oblige parents to send their children to schools established by the state." So the short answer for that is yes. We have a right to send our children wherever we want in order to give them an education. We can choose to send them to a Gael school, which is an all-Irish speaking school where they learn all of their subjects through the Irish language, which is our national language. We can choose to send them to a Catholic school, an Educate Together school, a private school, a public school, or we can choose to educate them at home. Home educating our children is actually protected by our constitution. The fact that it says that it is the natural right of the family to educate our own children. So that is good news for anyone who wants to home educate. That yes, it is a wonderful thing to do. There are not a huge amount of restrictions or regulations. So yes, homeschooling is legal. I have a few notes, so I just don't want to forget anything, and hopefully I won't go on a little bit too much. Okay. Registration. There is a need to register. So your child, by the age of 6, your child needs to either be in a school and be registered with a school, or be registered on the register that they are being home educated. This is done by filling in a form, which we have not done yet because our son, who we are homeschooling, is not yet 6. So we shall be doing that next year when he is 6. And I will make a film about that too, a video about that. So the registration process is filling in the form, easy peasy. There is a preliminary assessment and a complete assessment where an assessor comes to your house for every single child, talks through curriculum choices, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, making sure that there is a minimum standard of education, of which that is the key line, minimum standard of education. There is nothing written or specific as to how you should or shouldn't educate your children. In terms of curriculum, you get to choose your own curriculum. So your children do not have to learn the Irish language. If you decide to home educate, they don't have to learn any languages if you decide to home educate. In terms of hours, do you need to have a minimum number of hours during the week in order to home educate? No, you don't. Do you need to keep assessments or do assessments or any particular tests? Keep your children up to what would be the minimum standard? No, you don't. Do you need to keep records? Again, no, you don't. When I received this form, there was also another worksheet, like 85 pages or something, that has a lot of great information on it, and which again says all the things that I just repeated there, was that all of these things are not necessary, but there's a wisdom thing involved as well. Most parents will know whether their child is excelling, normal, or falling a little bit behind without keeping records. Yet there's a wisdom thing where it is wise to keep records, especially if you have multiple children and you want to make sure that your child is moving forward. Doesn't matter what the pace is, but that they are moving forward. The same with hours and assessments. Obviously, there's no standardized testing done or necessary to homeschool. There is standardized testing in schools, in public schools, and I'm sure you could get those standardized tests if you wished to do them with your children to make sure that you're on par. The same with curriculum choices. If you chose a curriculum, for example, that was, so my child is 5 turning 6 and is due to go into senior infants next year. So if you wanted to make sure that your child was on par with his or her age group and level, then you would of course be choosing senior infants or books aimed at senior infant level. The aim would then be at the beginning of the year to work through the book and by the end of the year mastered it to an extent that is acceptable. Again, that is not required, but it is a wise thing to do. You can choose your own curriculum. We have chosen American curriculums, which I will do another video on. We have chosen American curriculums, of which obviously is lacking in history-wise, because it's all American history. We will have to subsidize using Irish history, but we are totally happy to do that. So yes, you don't have to do a certain curriculum, but again, there is wisdom in following along and making sure that there is a standard, that you are holding yourself to a certain standard. Because at the end of the day, if you are choosing to homeschool, it is most likely for the benefit of your child. And that is why those things are wise. The government's role, I have my notes here. I know I'm waffling on a bit. Okay, the government's role is to make sure that you are not just letting your child abscond and saying that you are homeschooling. So I understand why there is a requirement to have them registered somewhere. That they want to make sure that you aren't allowing them to abscond, that you are teaching them that a 16 or 18-year-old isn't coming into the world not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write, not knowing maths at an appropriate level for their development. I think, again, I know that there is a little bit of pushback in the homeschooling area whether you should or shouldn't register. It's up to you. I think that's not for me to say whether you should or shouldn't register. There is a requirement in terms of the legalities. I don't know. For us personally, we are going to choose to register because we don't see an issue in it. Again, that's another story. But yes, so to summarize, homeschooling is legal. If you are in a country or a state that homeschooling is not legal, come over to Ireland. It's a free-for-all. They are very supportive. The woman who I was talking to on the phone, who actually did send me this, who was in charge of the homeschooling moms, dads, whoever in the country, was very helpful and really supportive. And I do think they genuinely are happy for people to homeschool their children. So that is a little bit more waffly than I intended. I think as I get more used to the videos, I am going to be sharper and better and on it. But I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!